vibrate right as soon as I hit record on the camera. That's when the air vent comes on, of course. Okay, my peeps and peepettes, welcome back to the spotlight of the reviewing station, and today we're going to be taking a look at a very special Mortal Kombat action figure from Storm Collectibles 1/12 Collection Action Series, and this is GORO. This has been a very long anticipated action figure that was first unveiled with the license. So to start things off, I'll take a quick look at the packaging for take of every single video review on this channel. Okay, so after readjusting the camera so we can get as much as possible on the screen, let's take a look at what we have here. We've got Mortal Kombat GORO with the iconic dragon logo. There's GORO. Here it says Storm Collectibles 1/12 Action Series. On the other side it says ages 17 and plus. On the top of the package it says Mortal Kombat with a very nice open window here to bring some light into the figure on the inside. Right here on the side it says Mortal Kombat GORO. It's got a nice picture of the action figure. Down below that it says Storm Collectibles 1/12 Action Series. On this side here it's got the same image of GORO from the front, completing the look, and up here it says Mortal Kombat GORO. To the bottom of the packaging it says Mortal Kombat GORO. Right over here we got some licensing and distribution by Bluefin. Thank you very much. For ages 15 and plus, even though it originally said 17. Take a look at the back of the packaging here, and at the top it says once again Mortal Kombat. Got a nice picture of GORO here. Here's a quick look at the interchangeable head sculpts that the figure has to offer. He's got his fireball blast effect. He's fully articulated and looks really nice from the back. And this picture here kind of sets me off because that's my boy Sub-Zero and you shouldn't be stomping on him like that, you bully. Here's another look at GORO in a very nice pose here. Here's a brief summary of the character from Mortal Kombat, so pause the viewer and read it if you want. Hopefully there isn't a glare here. Down below all that we got some more licensing with Storm Collectibles, Hive, Warner Brother Games, NetherRealm Studios, and there's not much else to say. Oh yeah, warning, choking hazard, there we go. GORO also comes complete with a set of instructions, even though this doesn't transform, which is kind of awkward. But it does show off some of the nice features that is offered with this set here, from interchangeable pieces to the alternate head to the hands, and then of course the blast effect. And here's a look at the back in case you wanted to know. Sweet. And taking a look at the action figure himself, and this figure is a beast. He stands at approximately 13 inches tall if I'm not mistaken. Bear with me one sec. This figure stands at about 9.5 inches tall actually, unless you count the hair, then it's a little over 10 inches. So yeah, I'm wrong, but hey, it's what we unprofessionals are best at. So anyway, let's take a good look at the action figure all around. As you can see, he's pretty built. He's very iconic from his character counterpart. I'd say that this is probably one of the most accurate figures to come for a GORO figure, unless you count a statue, which are not action figures. It's a very nice looking head sculpt with him giving off this angry vibe here. He's ready to smash some heads in, I'm sure of it. Up close you can see that the eyes are nicely painted here. There doesn't seem to be any sloppiness whatsoever, so it's right up there in par with their only other figure that has pupils, which is Shao Kahn. Of course, this being an interchangeable piece, this is not the actual head sculpt that was actually packaged with the figure at first. It would actually be his more neutral face here. And taking a quick look at the neutral face, and you can see once again a very nice paint job, very nice painted lips, very nice painted eyes, very nice painted pupils, looking straight forward with a very nice glossiness to give him a realistic look. The wrinkles and all the detail on the head is pretty good, and as you can see we got those very nice spots that would be very iconic to the character himself on the back of his head, and there's a hole right here for his other accessory, which happens to be his hair. So yes, you just peg it in like so, and there you go, you're done with it. But that's not all, because as I already have this applied with the alternate head, you do have an extra set of hair here. So one of them is just pointing straight down, while one of them's got a nice curve, which kind of works with the articulation of the figure and doesn't hinder much of the movement for the head. So moving on with the look at the detail of the figure, and as you can see, he's loaded with a six-pack and then some, because this figure is quite huge with the torso. And here's a nice look at his crotch. You could say he has thunder thighs because of how bulky they are. God, I wish I had this kind of proportions. And taking a good look at the feet here with the nice bandages that are weathered as well. This is a very nice sculpting here and a very nice paint job. Once again, crisp and clean, no sloppiness whatsoever. And taking a look at the toes there, they are nicely painted as well. Very good. And he's got the two-toe effect like the Ninja Turtles, which is very cool. We gotta take a good look at those wrist gauntlets here, which are very nicely weathered of this nice gold paint here, which is also decked out in some very nice black washing that kind of makes it dull, but you can see it still shimmers quite a bit. And let's not forget the back of the figure where the sash is. It's a very nice rubber. It's very Very nice, actually. So going right into the articulation. Oh, and this is one problem that we have to come against here. Right, it doesn't matter whichever head I'm actually using on the figure. The fact is that the socket to the ball joint is actually just a tad bit bigger than what it should be. So it's very easy to knock this figure's head off when you go about messing around with it. But of course, this being a ball joint, it does pop right back in very easily, no problem. Being very careful with this, we do once again have a ball joint for the head, so you get as much range as you could possibly ask for. Its upper pecs, it's actually all decked in rubber here. This is not hard plastic, so it does allow a little bit more movement if you so want. As you can see, we have a very nice butterfly section here, which is very cool on 6-inch action figures. We also have universal shoulder joints. You get this much movement outward, and you get this much going down because it just gets hit by his upper arm. But if you wanted to, you can get a full 360 rotation without any hindrance by the lower arm here. And then of course you got a bicep swivel cut here. Single jointed elbows that does get 9 degrees of bend, which is all you can really ask for this big guy. We have a swivel cut here at the wrist. We also have a ball joint to allow this much movement around, like so. Moving down to the second arm on the figure, and you can see it's pretty much the same amount of articulation, although it's hindered by hitting the very top one. But if you move it out of the way, you can get the same amount of movement here. Unfortunately though, you can't get a full 360 rotation because it just can't be done with that arm in the way. But you do have a nice bicep swivel cut. What looks to be double jointed elbows, to tell you the truth, but it only works as a single jointed elbow, so that's the way I'm going to play it. You also have a swivel cut. You got your ball joint as well. These two arms are pretty much the same thing, so I don't have to say anything about it. Right, so going back to the articulation around the pecs, it does have a ball joint, so you get as much movement as you want. Down below that, there's nothing here around the ab section, but there is a very nice ball joint. The legs are universally jointed, and you get this much kicking forward, which is impressive. And you get that much going back. And you can pull off a very nice JCVD split, so there's your seal quality, people. Enjoy it. The figure also has a swivel cut within the universal joint. And then we got double jointed knees. You get this much bending, which is about 90 degrees. The rest of the articulation is at the ankles, where you get this hinge to allow them to move up and down. Do have an ankle rocker pivot, which is kind of restricted just because of the sculpting. But you do also have some very nice toe articulation, which is an added bonus to this figure and does help out with stability. So moving right along to the accessories count on this review, and as you can see, we've got the pieces that I've already shown off here. So there's that. Figure also includes some very nicely sculpted gripping hands here for smashing heads in on maybe Scorpion and Sub-Zero, which I don't think you should do that. These hands pretty much look the same, but they're actually splayed just a little bit more outward. And then he's got some that are actually enclosed at the very tip of the fingers. And then these set of hands are actually a little more closer in, so they could probably grip a hold of something. And here are the very nice two translucent green fireballs that he can fire off in the video games, which is a very nice blast effect. If you look in very closely, you can see that there's actually a hole right here, which has something to accommodate with. And that would be this very nice looking stand here, which has quite a bit of articulation. It's very uncommon for like SH figure art stands to have something like this, but it's also uncommon for them to actually have clicking joints as well. And you can use these stands for your Mortal Kombat figures, even though you're not going to get much high poses out of them because this is actually pretty short compared to the figures. But what it's actually meant for is actually the blast effects here. So the set actually includes two little pegs here and this claw here for your action figures if you wanted. But since it's ideal to use it for the blast effect, we're just going to need one of these. So the slimmer end will actually peg in right here to the hole of the fist, and then this thicker end is actually going to slide in right here to the top of the stand's leg. And even though I pretty much failed at posing this figure in a way that he's firing off his arm here, I can say that I still get the idea of what it was trying to be here, and it kind of works in a way. Maybe if I take a little more time, I could make it so much better. Boy, getting this little tab out is actually quite a pain. Once it gets in there, it really doesn't want to come out that well. And just to say I did so, here's a look at the claw on the stand here as we're demonstrating with Greedo being punched by Goro. Poor Greedo. To prove how massive this figure is, let's dare to compare with 6-inch Scorpion and Sub-Zero from the series, Ermac and Shao Kahn, and finally Broodwing. I am really loving this action figure line by Storm Collectibles, and they have a lot more to offer, from Street Fighter to Tekken, stuff that I really want to get into. But as it stands right now, I am spending a lot on other things here. For the price point of $100, maybe up to $120, that's what I actually spend on the figure here. He is definitely a must-have, but I will say you're going to be looking at pretty much the same options here when it comes to displayable hands. You actually have your opposing hands, you got your gripping hands, your splaying hands, but they all pretty much in the end look one and the same, so you're not going to really be able to tell a difference here. So it's kind of like a copy and paste in all honesty, and it does kind of make you look the other way when it comes to really what the accessories count is on this set. But outside of that, the figure's got some great sculpting. He's got a very good paint job, and I'm really impressed with how much articulation they were actually able to manage to get on this figure here in comparison to the competition, which is the offering from Hasbro, which is that 6-armed Spider-Man action figure here from Marvel Legends, which is kind of a laugh when compared to this figure here. And it really does show that there are plenty of options out there in ways that you can add as much articulation without hindering any of the sculpting of the figure. GORO is a big figure, he's definitely top heavy, but the balance really comes into play with the tight joints on the feet, especially the toe articulation, which is kind of a hit or miss with some lines, but when it comes to GORO, they're perfectly tight. They're going to hold the figure up, no problems. You can get as many poses as you want out of the guy without any issues of him falling over. But if you really want to be safe about it, then yes, by all means, use the stand that comes with this figure. Now, will it hold up GORO? I'm not sure. I haven't tried that for myself, but when it comes to the other Mortal Kombat figures in the line, if you want to do uppercuts with GORO, then by all means, I mean, it works perfectly with the 6-inch Ninja figures. Other size figures may be a bit of a test here and may not work out as planned, but this is definitely one cool figure you want to add to your Mortal Kombat series, especially if you're loving what Storm Collectibles has to offer. I'm hoping that this is a bit of a field test. Outside of Shao Kahn and GORO, we don't really have that many other characters outside of the multicolored ninjas, which I'm not complaining here, but I am saying that this line won't be able to survive that long on just the ninjas. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. Questions or comments, you know, do hit it down below in the comment section of the video. If you liked today's video review, hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to give me a sub up. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. Don't forget to throw in the towel. And until then, my friends, this is the unprofessional toy reviewer Hasbro signing off by saying, with the opportunity persist, don't give up on your dreams, seize the moment. Thank you for watching.